A supreme leader assassinated. The Strait of Hormuz shut down. Oil fields burning. Children buried under rubble. This is Iran, right now. But this war didn't start in 2026. To understand what's happening, you have to go back 5,500 years. This is not a story about a country. It is a story about a civilization. One so old, it was already ancient when Greece was young. Over 5,500 years, this land absorbed every conqueror who ever marched across it, and turned them all into Persians. A civilization that gave the world its first human rights charter is today at the center of its most dangerous war. How did we get here? Geography made Iran the crossroads of the ancient world. Mesopotamia to the west, India to the east. Any civilization rising here would shape every great current of human history. Long before Persia had a name, the great civilization of Elam was building cities that rivaled Babylon. Their language remains only partially understood today. Around 1200 BCE, a prophet named Zoroaster declared something the ancient world had never heard. History has a destination. Good versus evil, heaven and hell, the resurrection of the dead, a last judgment. Zoroaster invented these ideas, and they flowed from Iran directly into Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. In 550 BCE, Cyrus began the most stunning sequence of conquests the ancient world had ever seen. Not through terror, through tolerance. He freed enslaved peoples. He permitted the Jews to return to Jerusalem. The Hebrew Bible calls him a Messiah. His Cyrus cylinder is the world's first human rights charter. His empire stretched from Egypt to India, governing 50 million people, nearly half the population of the entire earth, on a policy of religious and cultural freedom. His successor Darius built the world's first superstate. The royal road, standardized currency, and propaganda carved 600 feet into a cliff that 2,000 years later would unlock all of ancient writing. Western history celebrates Marathon and Thermopylae. What it omits: Persia funded the war that broke Greece and forced Athens to sign a peace on Persian terms. Persia won strategically. In 330 BCE, Alexander of Macedon burned Persepolis. He destroyed the greatest empire the ancient world had ever known, and then something extraordinary happened. Alexander put on Persian robes. He married a Persian princess. He demanded Persian rituals from his own Greek officers. Iran did not become Greek. Greece became Persian. In 260 CE, Shapur did something unique in all of ancient history. He captured the Roman Emperor Valerian alive on the battlefield, then had it carved into a cliff. At the Academy of Gondishapur, Persian, Greek, Indian, and Syriac scholars worked under one roof. The knowledge they created became the Islamic Golden Age. The world's first international university was Iranian. In 636 CE, the Sassanid Empire fell to Arab armies. A sandstorm on the final day blinded the Persian lines. But the civilization did not die with the dynasty. It went underground. Iran lost the battle. It won the culture. Within a century, Iranian administrators were running the Islamic world from Baghdad. The Abbasid Revolution of 750 drew its force from Iran's Khorasani population. Ferdowsi spent 30 years writing the Shahnameh, 60,000 verses preserving a language centuries of conquest had tried to erase. Ibn Sina's medical textbook was used in Europe until the 1600s. Iranian minds built civilization. Then came the Mongols. Merv was razed. Nishapur was leveled. Iran's population may have fallen by 2/3. Any other civilization would have vanished permanently. And yet, within 50 years, the Mongol rulers were converting to Islam, learning Persian, and patronizing Iranian art. Iran had absorbed its conquerors. Again. In 1501, a 14-year-old named Shah Ismail made the decision that would define the Middle East for 5 centuries. He declared Iran officially Shia Muslim and ordered everyone to convert at sword point. Under Shah Abbas, Isfahan became perhaps the most beautiful city on earth. Persians called it half the world. The Shia-Sunni divide he created in 1501 fuels proxy wars across Lebanon, Yemen, Syria, and Iraq today. The 19th century turned Iran into a chessboard. Russia took the north. Britain controlled the south. Qajar Shahs sold their country piece by piece, trading sovereignty for cash. In 1905, Iran became one of the first countries in Asia to establish a constitutional democracy. The moment lasted 2 years. Russian troops bombarded the Iranian parliament into rubble in 1908. Britain watched and said nothing. Iran's first democracy was killed not by Iranians, but by foreign powers. a pattern that would repeat. Out of the First World War's devastation, a soldier named Reza Khan seized power. He built railways, opened universities, and in 1935 ordered every embassy, call this country Iran, not Persia. In 1951, Mohammad Mossadegh was elected prime minister on the simplest possible platform. Iran's oil belongs to Iran. The international court ruled in his favor. Time magazine named him Man of the Year. Operation Ajax. The CIA paid mobs to riot, bribed generals to defect. On August 19, 1953, Iran's only democracy was overthrown. American oil companies took 40%. Iran never forgot. 1953 is the original sin. The revolution, the hostage crisis, the nuclear program, the 2026 war, all trace back to this single CIA operation. With American backing, the Shah pursued genuine modernization. Underneath, SAVAK, the secret police, notorious for torture and the systematic elimination of all opposition. A cleric named Khomeini had been in exile since 1964, but his sermons arrived home by the thousands, smuggled in on cassette tapes. He built a revolution from France, one tape at a time. 1978, Iran caught fire. Students, workers, clerics, merchants, all united against the Shah. On Black Friday, the military opened fire. The Shah was finished. On February 1st, 1979, Ayatollah Khomeini landed in Tehran at age 76. He had waited 15 years. Within weeks, 2,500 years of monarchy was replaced by an Islamic republic. Khomeini immediately outmaneuvered every ally who had fought beside him. Liberals, leftists, secular Democrats, all crushed by 1982. The revolution had freed Iran from one authoritarian rule and replaced it with another. November 4th, 1979. Students stormed the US embassy, convinced America was preparing another coup. Their fear may have been wrong. Their historical memory was not. 66 hostages, 444 days. Normal US-Iran relations burn. September 1980. Iraq invaded. 8 years, 500,000 dead, chemical weapons built with Western help. Iranians of every age defended a country the world abandoned. From that war came 4 conclusions driving Iranian strategy to this day. Powerful weapons or you die. Fight on your enemy's territory. Never trust the international community. Only nuclear weapons truly protect a state. After the war, Iran built strategic depth, allied forces to deter attacks on Iranian soil. Hezbollah in Lebanon, Hamas in Gaza, Houthis in Yemen, Shia militias in Iraq. Iran built its own proxy network. In 2015, after years of crippling sanctions, diplomacy succeeded. The nuclear deal was signed. Iran froze its program, sanctions lifted. For a brief moment, the world stepped back from the edge. In May 2018, President Trump tore up the deal. Crippling sanctions returned. Iran's economy collapsed, and Iran drew the only conclusion left to it: accelerate toward the bomb. January 3rd, 2020. A US drone killed Qasem Soleimani, the architect of Iran's entire proxy network. And Iran's leadership reached its final conclusion: only nuclear weapons could protect them. October 7th, 2023. Hamas retaliated to decades of apartheid with an attack on Israel. The entire axis of resistance activated simultaneously. The era of purely proxy war was ending. Hezbollah launched mere daily strikes on northern Israel. Houthis attacked international shipping in the Red Sea. Iraqi militias struck US bases. Iran's Ring of Fire had activated simultaneously across multiple fronts. It began with Israel destroying Iran's consulate in Syria. Iran responded with over 300 drones and ballistic missiles, crossing borders openly for the first time. The direct war had begun. Hamas leader Haniyeh killed in Tehran. Hezbollah's Hassan Nasrallah, the most powerful figure in the axis of resistance, killed in a massive airstrike in Beirut. The axis was being decapitated. Iran fired 180 ballistic missiles at Israel. Israel's retaliation destroyed nearly all of Iran's S-300 air defenses. The shield protecting its nuclear sites, gone. December 2024. Assad's regime, the critical link in Iran's supply chain to Hezbollah, collapsed in under 2 weeks. 40 years of Iranian construction dismantled in 12 months. June 2025. Israel launched Operation Rising Lion, striking Iran's nuclear facilities and command structure. Iran retaliated with 550 missiles and 1,000 drones. The 12-day war had begun. On June 22nd, US B-2 bombers struck Fordow, Natanz, and Isfahan. The hardened nuclear sites Israel's arsenal alone could not penetrate deeply enough to destroy. On June 24th, mediated by Oman, a ceasefire was declared. 28 Israelis killed, over 300 Iranians dead, soldiers, scientists and civilians who never chose this war. Iran's nuclear program set back years. By January 2026, the Islamic Republic was at its lowest point since 1979. The largest protests in 40 years swept Iran, sparked by economic collapse. Security forces killed thousands. February 28, 2026. Operations Epic Fury and Roaring Lion. The opening salvo assassinated Supreme Leader Khamenei in Tehran. 36 years ended in seconds, not triumph. The profound uncertainty of what comes next. Among the opening strikes, an elementary school in Minab struck, killing 165 people, mostly children. This is what modern warfare looks like. The children of Iran, paying for decisions they never made. Tehran's clerical council appointed Khamenei's own son as the new supreme leader. His first act? Declare the Strait of Hormuz closed. Hundreds of drones and missiles launched at US bases across the region. March 2026. No ceasefire in sight. Over 1,200 Iranians dead, including 200 children. 570 Lebanese, 13 Israelis, 8 Americans. No diplomatic exit visible. The missiles falling on Tehran in 2026 are not random. They trace back to a CIA document signed in 1953, to British oil greed in 1913, a dynasty's weakness in 1828. History is never past. It is unmasking itself right now. For 5,500 years, Iran has absorbed its conquerors. Alexander became Persian, Mongol Khans became Muslim patrons. The Islamic Republic may be mortally wounded, or it may survive, as Iran has always survived. A civilization that invented human rights, that gave the world the concept of linear time, that built the first superpower on tolerance, is still here, still fighting, still being unmasked. History is written by the victors, but the truth stays buried. Unmask the past with us. Subscribe if you want to know more.